to another video on Eleanor's restoration. In this one I'm going to be looking at fitting the front panel and the front wings. In the previous video for the engine bay you've seen me prepping some of these areas by removing the paint and by putting well through primer on. There's some of these areas I'm probably going to need to go over now because it was a while ago I'd done this and there's a bit of overspray with some etch primer and stuff, so yeah, I'll just double check that. So starting off with the inner wings, I'll kind of cover one side and I'll do the other side off camera because they're both the same. What I'm going to do just now is remove the paint from the seams that are going to be spot welded to the inner wing. I'll remove the paint from here and the other side. This is where it's going to be attached to the A panel. It will be easier to do now than when it's on the car. I'll remove the paint from here and the other side. This is where it's welded to the top of the inner wing, and basically the top side I can leave bare metal, the underside I'll coat in acid etch primer because once it's on it's sealed. And finally, for this bit anyway, this edge here that goes to the front panel. So again, the underside will be the side that needs to be well through primer. The top up here can be left bare because I can get access to that after I've spot welded it on. Once I've done that and it's dried, I'll get it masked off and I'll get the inside of the wing painted and obviously get this sticker off as well. Hate these things. So yeah, I'll just stick the camera on and I'll kind of go through on a time lapse, speed it up a bit for you, of getting these wings ready to go in the car. Okay, I'm going to set this to dry on one side. I'll let the well through primer dry. I'll then need to mask that area before I can coat this with paint. So as I said off camera, I'm going to go and do the other side the exact same, let them dry, and then I can also start the prep for the front end. Okay, while the well through primer is drying on that, I'm going to do the same to the front panel. So the bits that need paint removed is the flange here, which basically holds it onto the inner wing, then both sides of this flange here, which holds it onto the outer wing. I'll need to remove the sticker here, and I'll need to remove the subframe mounts here, which is just one bolt each. I only left them on here when I done the test fit because otherwise I'd have lost them. So yeah, I'm going to go and get that done. I'll do the same again on the time lapse, but it really is tedious, long, boring work, but it needs to be right at this stage so that when you're welding there's no paint, because there's nothing worse than missing a bit when you're all ready with the spot welder and you're having to then stop, take paint off. It just makes it bitty, whereas if you do it right now, it makes it easier on the, what I like to say, the good bit. You just spot weld, and it's done. Okay, that's the welding primer on there. Some areas masked off. I'm out of standing belts, so I need to order some more to get into some of the other areas, but I don't need to do it just now. Yeah, so what the plan is, I'll let this dry, same as the wings, get this masked up, and then the plan for today is to get the whole of the inside of this and the wings in primer. Stone chip as well, because of where they are. So that would be good if I can get that level done today, and then I'll let that dry for a while before I put the red top coat on. And it's quite a nice day, the sun's shining, so it should dry quicker. There's the first light coat of epoxy primer on. I'll let that dry, give it a light sand, and I'll put another few more coats on, and then I'll do some stone chip. And as you can see, spring is definitely here. It's been a long cold winter. A few coats of primer later and some stone chip, which is just drying. So I've stone chipped the wings, and I've stone chipped the lower of the front panel, the one basically that is going to be exposed to the road. The top I'm not too fussed with because it's enclosed and it's the engine bay, so it won't be as liable to stones hitting it. So once this is all dried, I'm going to put another coat on of stone chip, and then they're all going to be red, but obviously I need to let it dry in the stages to get there. Okay, that's taken a few days to allow paint to dry. I decided to go for some wax oil under seal, so it takes a bit longer to dry and it doesn't leave a smoother finish because of the bits of wax oil in it. So it's under the wheel. Actually, I'd rather have protection from rust than a stunning finish. So yeah, plenty coats. I think I've got 3 coats of primer, 2 wax oil, 2 base coats and 2 lacquer. This one's very thick, probably way overboard, but it's there. What damage is it going to do? I'm going to let it dry for a few days before I start mocking it up to the car, because it is touch dry, but I want it to harden. I don't want to chip bits off that's then going to leave it to rust. I'll spin you around and I'll show you what else I've got done in the car before I start fitting it on. Coats of paint around here. I'll put a few on just so that when the wing goes over it, it'll be done, because I won't get into here later on, because once this is done, the wing's on, it'll have a seam sealer on locking it in. Under here I will put some zinc primer. There was basically overspray from the acid etch primer, so I had to take that off, and I'll put weld through primer on, just so that when I do come to getting it on, I'm going to get good contact for the spot welder. So yeah, all these things doing now mean that when I get to putting it on, it'll be a lot easier. That's a good 3-4 days now that's been left to dry, so I'm happy that's ready to go on. You get the teardrop mounts on just now. As I explained in the test fit video, I went for the poly mount bushes as I went for that for the rest of the subframe, and I'm going to put some copper grease on for future proofing, although to be honest I never want to take this panel off again, but stops the rust. These are 1/2-inch bolts. I'll get that tightened up, get the other side done. These are one of the ones on the manual and online that you never seem to find a torque setting for, so you default back to the default torque settings for the size of bolt. So for this one I'm going to go for 25 Newton meters. Yeah, I'll go and do that on the other side. I'm not going to go through this stage by stage putting it back on because I've done that in a previous video. So basically what I'm going to do is get this on, I'll get it all lined up on the front end secured, and once I've got things sitting where I like them, I'll come back to you then. Got the front panel clamped in. Trickiest bit was actually placing the clamps so they're not going to foul the wing or the bonnet, so I can do the test fit, but it's there, so now I can move on to the wings and the bonnet. Bonnet's on. Took a bit of playing about with the hinges on the bonnet to get this lined up, but I'm happy where that is just now, so on to the wings. So I thought I would just show why I'm fitting or test fitting these before I fix the front panel in place, because basically the fit here is too far that way. Once I've got this lined up, so you can't get this end and this end fitting perfectly because it's probably about 4 or 5 mil too far that way. So because I've seen this just now and I've not welded anything on, it basically gives me a little bit of play to move the front panel slightly forward, just so it's sitting at the right place, and that's why I'm kind of doing this and pottering about with it, because it takes time. You want the lines here to be really nice. At the moment they're not, you know, this is not pushing that way, it's not fitting that way, so it all indicates the front panel's sitting too far back. And to be fair, I've probably tightened up the bolts a bit too much, so I'm going to loosen them slightly, get a bit of play, get everything nice, and then I'll come back once I've got it sitting a bit better.